You look much better. Color's improved. You've been eating a little more.
Yummy, sweet like apple pie. Key to the take a bite. Sweet like me, oh my. To the wop, to my tang. It's so tasty, got me looking so crazy. Sugar so sweet, my baby. To the wop, to my tang. Sweet like apple pie. Key to the take a bite. Sweet like me, oh my. To the wop, to my tang. It's so tasty, got me looking so crazy. Sugar so sweet, my baby.
Hello everyone and welcome to Geek Academy channel. I'm your detective host Igor, and today we are going to analyze From episode 4 season 3. I'm sitting today because it's gonna be one long ass video because there's a lot to talk about. I'm gonna do a recap in my video, we're gonna go chronologically, we're gonna jump sometimes from the beginning to the end, and obviously every time when there's gonna be something interesting, something that caught my eye, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna analyze the shit out of it, just for the sake of being one of the crazy fans of this incredible show. Now, if you're one of those and this is something that sounds interesting for you, you're in the right place. But before I begin, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon. You see, you don't have to support me financially, obviously, in order to watch those videos, but some of you do, and this is like the loudest applause, this is like the biggest motivation, and also, of course, it's a big responsibility. I want to do everything that I can to actually deserve this, to actually feel like I'm deserving this, so every time I can improve, every time I can do better videos, this is thanks to you guys and girls, obviously. Now, let's dive in. So in this episode we're gonna have 3 storylines, 2 pretty short ones, one really not significant at all, and one very important. Obviously I'm talking about Christie, Kenny, and Jade, Victor and Sarah, and the main one with the city, Boyd, Tabitha, Jim, everybody basically. So we're beginning in the aftermath of the previous episode. Christie is injured, they did everything they could in order to help her to survive the night. Kenny is there offering his help. I'm sorry, I probably have a dirty mind, but you know what I was thinking in this moment. And yeah, it's an interesting moment, an emotional moment with Kenny. He's talking about his mom, he's talking about Chinese tradition, basically write letters for the deceased, for the dead, for the ancestors. I read about it a little bit. In Chinese culture, writing letters to the dead is a practice that is often associated with ancestor worship and spiritual communication, particularly during significant festivals and rituals. This practice reflects the belief in the continuing presence of ancestors and the importance of maintaining a connection with them even after they have passed. Here are some key occasions when letters to the dead are written. So there is a King Min festival, there is a Ghost Month and the Hungry Ghost Festival, and also like if you visit them in the graveyard or something like this. So there are many occasions. I'm not going to read about all of them, but what's interesting for me here is the whole ancestral connection. We're talking a lot about, cycle repeating itself in this place, and there's a lot of conversation about grandmas, fathers, missing fathers. So many times there's a lot connected to the family here, so I don't know if it's 100% some kind of a clue here, but I do see here some kind of a connection. Maybe it's a little bit of stretch, but I always do those kind of stretches here. Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of envy me when I'm doing those reviews for From, so I'm not gonna stop now. Let's move forward. And finally they are talking. It's been a while, and they wait for 3 seasons to actually start telling each other some secrets, which is good, and I don't know why they are secrets. And finally Jade is telling them about something crazy. Basically he's seen vision, he saw a guy with a rod in his eye, the vision we've seen in the previous episode. So basically it's just retelling of what we already seen. I don't know what was the point of this basically moment, but okay, I enjoy watching Jade playing, so I'm not complaining here, but obviously I would want something that moves the plot forward. So yeah, the conversation continues. He's telling where did it start, basically in the beginning of season 1, and then there's the thudding. Thank you, subtitles. I would have no clue how to actually pronounce it in English, but there's the same noise that was in episode 1. This is exactly the same noise that Jim and Kenny heard the first night they've been here, so it is probably important. I don't know how, I don't know why, but if it repeats itself and they're not showing us what's happening, it also sounds like this noise basically comes from the top, like somebody's on the roof, which is also not very typical of monsters. So until this moment, I'm not 100% sure that those thudding noises are actually monsters. Maybe it's something else, maybe it's something new, or maybe it's something familiar but not something expected. Anyway, we're moving forward, and like Christie is saying, are you sure that everything you saw are just hallucinations? Are you kidding me? Why is this even a question? Of course it's not hallucinations. Nothing here is not hallucinations. You're living in a place with monsters, with mystical beings, with, you know, like the circle road. You've not been able to escape this place. There is lighthouse. There are people who can be simultaneously in 2 different places. And yeah, every time somebody sees something, it's obviously a hallucination. No, it's a vision, it's a ghost, it's a memory, whatever it is, but it's not like a simple hallucination of a crazy person. Stop asking stupid questions. It's season 3, you live in a mystical, weird place. Start believing everything that you see and everything that you hear. Anyway, we finished with this line and we move into the more interesting one. Not the main one, but still very interesting. Also, I have a little bit of a trouble with this one. I'm gonna critique a little bit this episode because I was expecting a lot, especially from this moment. But a lot of this moment was, once again, Victor retelling everything that we kinda already know. Like, we used to play in here, this is a little bit of a new information, that nighttime, they used to like hide, we know that they used to hide during the nighttime, and what the hell is this? I don't know, I tried to zoom in on this. If you have any idea what is that, please write me in the comments. I don't know, but it looks kinda weird. Anyway, like he's telling that they were pretending that they were home. He and Eloise, they were playing in people's houses, and this one was their favorite. Somehow this one, where Sarah and Nathan used to live, this was one of the best for her, and he didn't realize why. You know, like all of those houses are pretty much the same, they're very similar, and also we noticed that when Tabitha visited Henry, his house was also looking pretty similar to what we have seen in Fromville. Not the same blueprint like almost every building in Fromville, except of course like the church and the colony house, but still very similar. And yeah, like one of the funniest moments in this episode, I mean, Victor has no filter. He's obviously a kid in a grown man's body. He's like, yeah, Eloise and my mom, I came with them, but they all died. Just like Nathan, but you know what, I didn't murder my mom and Eloise, and it's like, time and place, Victor, time and place, this is not time, not the place. Anyway, like, Sarah takes everything as a champ, she understands that Victor doesn't want to, like, offend her. It's not something that he does in order to, like, hurt her feelings or something like this, so she's basically, like, switching some topics, and they're like talking again about when I was a boy, my mother tried to save everyone, and then she died, and then everyone died. Like, we know that already. We, like us, people that watch this video probably right now, we know this story by heart already. And I need some new information, some new pieces for the puzzle, so please give me something. Now, the only thing I'm thinking about here is basically like, when she died, everybody died. Is there a connection here? Maybe, because we know that Miranda, she was the chosen one. So if you kill the chosen one, this is game over. Maybe. If there's actually a game here between 2 forces, like we all theorize about, like the boy in white, the cicadas, whatever it is, some kind of demon, some kind of witch, maybe, you know, like even Terran already, I think, don't really believe in this theory about the witch and the demon, something different, like 4 forces here or whatever, but still, if there is a game here, maybe if you kill a chosen one, this is game over for one of the sides. So, something to think about. And then he's saying like, I need to remember soon. He understands that something is changing, and he's been here for decades and it's never been winter here. So it's something completely new, even if there are cycles here and we're correct about it. So Victor probably witnessed one cycle from the beginning to an end. If this was the end of the cycle when everybody died and he was the only one who is left, so during that cycle, the previous one, there was no winter. So like, what's going on. This cycle is obviously different. Of course it has to be different because this is the show that we are watching, and it's not really interesting to show us something like that happens all the time. It has to be special, obviously. This is the moment when everything's gonna be broken and blah 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 blah. But still, nothing like that happened before, and Victor realizes that he needs to remember everything as soon as possible if he wants to save the people that are close to him. So they are going to the fort, and he's talking about like Eloise didn't listen. He's talking again about the night that we know from season 2 that he told to Tabitha and that Eloise didn't listen, she ran away, and this is why he thinks that she is dead. Also, we still don't know. We haven't seen her body. We know that Victor found his mom, but he never, or at least he didn't tell us, he never found his sister. So I don't know, but I'm still doubtful that Eloise is dead. And why is nobody talking about her? Like Henry didn't even mention her once. So yeah, he remembers this moment, we've seen it already, like Victor, he's watching the boy in white, everybody's dead, and Sarah remembers the boy in white, and we know that she had contact with him in the end of season 1, so they kind of like familiar with each other. And Victor here explains how he was able to survive during all this time. Like this question is being asked many times. I'm kind of new at this like YouTube thing, like I'm doing this for only 2 months, in English obviously, but I get a lot of questions already, like how did Victor survive for all this time? Now the boy in white is pretty OP, okay? He knows about everything. He was the one to tell Victor to go to the caves. He was the one to help Victor being in the caves for a couple of days and avoiding all of the monsters there, and then helping Tabitha. He can Karate Kid Tabitha from the lighthouse, so he can help. So for those years and years and years, until the new cycle began and new people started to arrive to this town, Victor and the boy in white were like this, and the boy in white was taking care of him. So yeah, what boy in white also did here in this situation when everybody was killed, Victor obviously as a kid couldn't bury all of them. But where did the bodies go? It's also an interesting question after that. Maybe some new people when they arrived, they were the one to clean this place up. But also, like, think about it. Most of the catch here in this place is when you arrive, first time, you have no idea where are you. Like, you have no idea that this is a dangerous place. But if you're a first one to the city and you arrive, and there's like a lot of dead bodies on the floor laying on the ground, you're probably not gonna stop until your engine runs out or something like this. And it has to be an engine, it has to be a car, because the tree will never block a person. Any person can just, you know, walk around or walk on top of this tree. But if you have a car, this is where you have to make a detour. And Victor, once again, with him not having a filter at all in his mouth, he's like saying, well, Sarah, the reason I chose you is because I'm gonna tell you something scary, and you're the scariest person here, so you're probably not gonna be scared. So I think once again it's just so adorable. Those moments are really endearing, and I just enjoy them, and I want to share those emotions with you. And yeah, so it won't scare you. So he's telling also about some people that he know, and at this point I think the creators are already mocking me. We know, like, I always check the clocks, I always check the watches, and I want to see the time that it shows. And there was some dude named Mr. Gerber. He really liked to eat some onions, and he ate them raw. I also tried to find some references. Maybe there is some kind of like a character for children who likes eating onions, and his name is Gerber, Verber, whatever, something similar. Couldn't find anything, but if you do, once again, let me know in the comments. So the watch here, once again, you can see, like, this is not that something that's very difficult to do. You want to show that the watch is stopped. You can, like, you use the same watch in 2 different scenes, and just don't, like, charge it, don't put batteries on it, don't, like, wind it up, don't do anything. It's very easy, but still it shows us a different time. And of course the second hand as usually doesn't move. I already think I'm gonna be hospitalized, maybe institutionalized after this show, especially because of those watches and because of this time, because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't look like an innocent mistake by the creators. It doesn't look like something they just didn't give a shit about. It doesn't look like something that can serve as a clue, because we know that time runs in this place exactly like in the outside where Tabitha was in the beginning of this season. So I don't know why they're showing me watches like that. Maybe one day I will have an opportunity to ask them after the whole show will probably gonna be released. I don't know, hopefully. Otherwise, it's gonna be an itch inside my brain that I will never be able to scratch. And like he's telling about the onions, blah blah blah, he would pick and eat them raw. And there's also an interesting thing, and obviously it's also another stretch. There is a cigarette holder, and in the cigarette holder we can see some pearl earrings, and we kind of remember already somebody who used to have some pearl jewelry, and it was obviously Abby, Alice's mother and Boyd's wife, but she had like a necklace, it's not an earring. I know it's a big stretch, but there's some kind of a connection, and there's a lot of theories about Abby being like a person, somebody who was in this place, maybe remembering this place, maybe when she was a kid, maybe she's reliving something, maybe she's a reincarnation of somebody, I don't know, but if I see even a tiny clue for a connection, I share. I notice, I share. Anyway, like at some point, Victor understands that there's absolutely nothing here about Christopher. And this bugs him out, he wants to stop, he's screaming, no, 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 this was a mistake, I don't want to do this anymore. And meanwhile we can see that there's a toy xylophone, we can see there's a flashlight, we can see there's something that looks like a flask, and at some point he picks up a bag, one of those bags, and something that looks like a hand bracelet falls out of it. So those are the things, still don't have any connection to anything that we know so far. Once again, maybe I missed something, please let me know. So yeah, and at this point I kind of wanted Sarah to slap him already after 2 seasons. I love Victor, one of my favorite characters. He's absolutely adorable. I love him, I adore him. But at this moment, like after 2 seasons of just every time he's about to answer something important, he goes to his Victor mode of no, 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 don't want to talk, this is my home, I want to leave. At this moment I was like, Sarah, you're the scariest person in this place, please slap him and make him tell us already what he is hiding. But she takes a different approach because she's a girl, she's obviously way smarter than me, and she's actually helps him. She's telling him like, you have nothing to be afraid about, I'm here, I'm the scariest person you know, so tell me please. And he's remembering Christopher, because Christopher is a ventriloquist, and the doll. Yeah, we knew already that this is Christopher's doll. There was a lot of theories and kind of a lot of trailers already and spoilers. It's not a big surprise here. But anyway, like we know that this doll, he used this doll to make everybody laugh. We know this story. This is the same story he told already Jade in season 2, and basically the same one with different words. But we can hear, finally we can hear Christopher using the voice for the doll. But you know, like he's remembering that the doll's name was Jasper. Okay, his name was Jasper, he was, of course not. Etymology, the name Jasper is derived from the Persian word Ganzabara, meaning treasurer or bringer of treasure. It was adapted into Greek as Gaspar and later into Latin as Jaspis. Now, biblical connection in Christian tradition, Jasper is associated with one of the 3 wise men or magi who brought gifts to the infant Jesus. Jasper or Gaspar is the name commonly assigned to one of the magi, representing the bringer of gifts. I don't see any connection with what we're seeing here right now, but once again, I wanted to share this information with you, so maybe you know how to connect this exactly to Christianity or maybe to whatever Persian word Ganzabara. Anyway, moving forward, and once, as I told you, he's telling the same story he told Jade. He used to make us laugh. It's not something that was common. People didn't laugh too much back then. And then he became a loner because he started to see in the symbol, just like Jade. Jade, we can see getting angrier and angrier. And then he remembers some kind of a conversation that he saw, Victor, he is the Victor, he saw between Christopher and the doll. Now, I try to understand what is this place, you know, by the chair and the big chair, you know, everything in the background. Like, I had 2 places in my mind. I had the cellar of the church, and this is not the same chair as you can see, and I also had the caves in my mind. We had a similar chair, but also not the same chair. Now, what is interesting here in this moment, look at Christopher's body language. This is obviously, like, it's easy to see who is, you know, like, who's in control here in this situation. Christopher is trying to explain, to convince the doll that he doesn't want to do something. Like, this is, I think, 2 + 2. Basically, the doll told him to kill everybody, to start the massacre, to do something, and he doesn't really want to do it, but he's trying to explain. He's like, why do you want me to do this? Everybody's gonna die. I think this is what happening here, but anyway, even if it's not it, this is obviously body language of somebody who is being controlled, like not 100%, but he's trying to convince the doll of something. And you can see that, you know, we can use the Gen Z terms, who is the alpha here. Anyway, moving forward, and we can see the doll doing the same noise it did already many times to Jade, not just the doll, we also remember the same dude from episode 3, season 1, that first scared Jade. I don't know what is the meaning of this sound, but obviously if it repeats itself, if the doll is not just talking, like we can see the doll is basically being possessed by something, by some force, by some entity, and this doll is obviously influencing Christopher somehow. But this scream gotta have some meaning. Okay, if it repeats itself so many times, it has to have some meaning beyond the, oh, it's just a doll that's being possessed by something, and it screams sometimes because, you know, sometimes you gotta scream, what are you gonna do? And yeah, obviously Victor is scared, and we remember his first reaction when he saw the doll in the cave. Like, you remember this in episode 1, season 2, when he saw the doll, he ran away. He was walking in caves like a gangster, like he controls, like he owns this place. He's like, here you turn left, here you turn right, forget about the monsters, shh, Tabitha, go after me, I'm gonna show you the way. And then he saw the doll and he became immediately a small terrified child, and Tabitha was the one already to save him from the caves. So obviously it was a very traumatic moment for Victor, and I really hope it's still only episode 4, and the good news, we have 6 more episodes, which is for me very big fun, and I really hope this theme is not gonna stop here and we're gonna see more and more and more flashbacks by Victor, because he is obviously one of the biggest keys to understand this place. And we are finishing with his words in he's saying that Jasper is the one who can tell us why it happened. So you need to go to the caves. The last time you have seen Jasper was in the caves, so we're probably gonna see another rendezvous, pun intended, in the caves between the monsters and Victor and, once again, the doll. I don't know if he's gonna go there by himself or he's gonna go there with Sarah. There is a small bond between them right now, but obviously this is something that's very interesting and I cannot wait to see it already. And we finished with the 2 first storylines, and as I told you, it's gonna be a longest video because now we are beginning the main one, the big one, and there's gonna be a lot to talk about. So let's do the blah, 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 rewind sound. We are in the beginning of the episode, the ambulance, the tree, as usual, we are stuck, oh my god. What can we do? Now we can also hear here static, like every time they're trying to contact the hospital, they're hearing static, and static is where the signal is very weak, when there is nobody to reach. And static is something we hear many times already in this place, and I think it also serves as a clue, but this is something we're gonna talk about a little bit later in this video. Anyway, we're seeing the tree for the 3rd time already in this show, but we're seeing the crows only for the 2nd time. Now what is interesting here, there's just right away 2 crows sitting next to each other. Now I remembered clearly that Matthew's family saw only 1 crow, so I rewatched this moment, and yeah, there's 1 crow, but right away after that on the different tree branch there is another crow, and then you can see the whole murder of crows in the sky. So 2 crows every time, and there's a lot of theories and clues about Scandinavian mythology and Odin and so on and so on and so on. Come on, you have those clues, it's kind of difficult not to notice. You know, the symbols on the talismans are very similar to Scandinavian runes. The symbolic meaning of somebody losing an eye. One of the most famous, let's call it people, gods obviously, Odin, lost his eye and he was followed by 2 crows or by 2 ravens. And yeah, so there are a lot of moments already that kinda remind you that this is maybe somehow connected to Scandinavian mythology, and it can be because this show is called From. We have in the intro an American flag, there is a lot of references to American history, and as we know, Vinland, or as we call it right now, United States of America and the whole American continent, was first discovered by the Europeans when it was Vikings, way before Christopher Columbus. Okay, so when we're moving forward, we can see like she's deciding to take a detour. When you look at her like badge for police of Maine, it's very similar, but it's not the same. It's also like a boat, but it's not the same boat that you actually have on Camden Police. I have no clue if it's relevant somehow. Maybe they didn't get any like authorization to use this symbol, and this is why they had to change it a little bit. But once again, I notice I share. Meanwhile, we have Ethan and he's looking at some drawings. There's like 3 girls. I don't know how can somebody think that this is Victor and his mom and Eloise, but okay, like maybe Victor was a Hasidic Jew when he was a kid and he used to have those curly things here. So this is obviously Victor. Yeah, he's getting ready to his bar mitzvah, and this is his mom, and this is Eloise. Okay. Of course not, I'm kidding, obviously. This is just 3 girls, and something really wrong with their hands. Like the one, Victor doesn't really know how to draw hands, and somebody behind him is a dark figure, obviously, with a big, stupid fucking smile, as we call them, the monsters. So it is probably someone from the monsters. Anyway, there's like another image, and when I zoom in, this is like completely already freaky. As one of my favorite creators on TikTok used to say, and says all the time, Jesus Christ on a motorbike. Victor learned how to draw some hands because it looks like they're like pinned to the wall with nails. This is scary. This is not a hand. This is not how fingers look. Somebody needs to teach Victor how to draw some hands because it's pretty creepy. Anyway, like Ethan is hearing a call. He's glin glin glin, ring ring ring. And of course, static, because we always hear some static. There has to be some static there. And it's Thomas. Obviously, it's not Thomas, and Ethan is not a moron, but, you know, Thomas, meanwhile, telling some true things, and he has probably a plan to maybe kill Ethan. Because he's saying, like, Mom is in trouble, she's in the ambulance, but you have to help her. You cannot be scared, you cannot be afraid. Yeah, he's saying the truth, yeah, she's in ambulance, yeah, she's coming, yeah, she needs help. But if you choose Ethan to help her, you probably want that little kid to die, because he's not going to be able to help, he's going to be killed. Anyway, we're moving forward. Ethan is not a moron here, he understands this is not exactly Thomas, this is not really Thomas, and Jim is like lurking in the background. He's like, what are you doing? What are you talking to? And this moment, there are like 2 moments in this episode that completely broke my mind. I'm still thinking about it, and I'm probably gonna fall asleep thinking about it today, and probably gonna be thinking about it the whole week. But they're not your children anymore. The way he said it, like, I don't want to dismiss this as just, you know, Thomas fucking with Jim and trying to make him go insane. It felt really personal, and it felt like he's implying that he knows whose children they really are. Because when you say it like this, but they're not your children anymore, you like put a lot of emphasis on the your, it kind of makes you feel like he knows whose children they are, and I'm like, who can claim those children? Like, the only thing that comes to mind is that Ankui children were also like kids here, and they were also claimed by somebody here, somebody else. Like, this place claims children. I don't know, it feels like a crazy stretch to me. We didn't have any clues, any hints after like so many, like 24 episodes already, that basically hinted to us that this place claims kids. Yeah, like they're Ankui children, obviously. But you know, Ankui children kind of look evil to me. I don't know, I have a lot of clues and a lot of hints that tell me that they're not really the good guys here. And I don't know yet, but I don't have any explanation, and it breaks my mind completely. I would really, really love to read your comments. What do you think about it? What does Thomas really mean? Is it just, you know, like throwing words? He's like, you know, winging it. I'm gonna say something that's gonna completely break Jim, or he really means something. Like, are kids really being taken away from him to the cicadas, to the Ankui children, to the boy in white, whoever? Something here tries to take Jim's children. And he's like reacting like I would probably react. I know everybody's watching and like, yeah, Jim is completely moron, he's stupid, blah, 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 but you know, like, put yourself in his place. Come on, you lost your wife, you know, like, your kids are getting calls from somebody who pretends to be their late brother who died as an infant, and it's from the phone, who's not connected to anything. Like, at some point you're gonna lose your shit and you're gonna start breaking stuff. And interesting thing here, once again, we know that there's no like normal electricity in this place. We know that all the wires are just going down, but we still haven't seen, you know, like the phones being working just because. Not connection, not even fake wires, nothing, not even a simulation. Now, this is really bugging me because we always talk about the show from the mystical point of view, from the magical, from the esoteric, from, you know, like there's a lot of mystery and it's because of the Booga Booga monster and he knows how to do abracadabra and avada kedavra and this is how you kill people. But when you think about it, a lot of this place really looks like an amusement park. Like Jim told, it kinda looks like an amusement park because a lot of the things here look real, but they're fake. But somehow they still work. And it's not, I cannot imagine myself a demon or I don't know, some kind of mystical being, a spirit, whatever it is, the boy in white or something, I don't know, something magical that is basically, yeah, I'm gonna put a phone here, but you know what? Fuck the cables. We're just gonna put the phone here. It doesn't make sense. It feels to me like there is a connection here between the magical and the mechanical, between the real world and between the esoteric world. I don't know how, maybe it's something psychological, maybe it really is some kind of a mind games, but something here is not working for me with it's just magic explanation. If it's just magic, so do the abracadabra and put some cables there. That looks real. If you can, you know, like produce a magical phone, produce some magical cables. No, it's all there to mess with everybody's mind. So it will look unreal to them, so it make them go completely insane. And yeah, we're moving forward. Bacta here, Nikki here, and they're like cleaning up after the kamikaze crow. I was kind of enjoying that they also called it kamikaze. I used the same word in my review, but once again, it's not like it kind of comes to mind, you know, like the one flying and the other flying and both of them trying to kill themselves. And yeah, another interesting thing here is that Bacta talks about Juju. Now, usually it's some word that you just use, you know, like in the conversation. Oh, don't use your mojo Juju, or Juju on me, or whatever. But when Bacta talks about it, especially since we know her story with her grandma who used to sing her the lullaby about the three who come for free and the three who come to three. Whatever, you remember the lullaby from the previous season. And also we have a bottle tree here, so you know Juju is a West African spiritual traditions and languages. It is derived from the French word Jojo, which means plaything or toy, but in the context of West African beliefs it took on a much deeper spiritual meaning. Okay, so once again, as I told you, West African traditional religions, it's obviously immigrated with the slavery trade in the whatever year that was, 1600, 1700, sorry, I need to brush on my history, and it's very prevalent in Nigeria, Benin and Togo. So maybe it's not just words, like Bacta is really talking here about something that came to her from her grandma, from her mother maybe her grandma was like a shaman, a spiritual woman, I don't know how it's called in Juju, but you understand what I'm saying here. Also, when you like put Juju in the Wikipedia, the first thing that you see is the talisman. And I know it's not exactly, it's not even like 50% that looks like our talisman, but it is kind of similar. The whole duality of one looking down and one looking up kind of reminds me of the talisman. I don't know if it does it the same for you, but once again, I notice I share. And like Bacta is talking about the tarot readings, she's basically telling Tilly off. And I just wanted to stop on this moment because you beautiful subscribers, Fromily commentators on Discord, whoever you are, who was the one to actually notice this moment, I bow before you. I'm sorry, I would use even a better quote, you bow to no one. Because you found that when Tilly was talking about her friend Gertie that taught her how to read tarot cards, you actually found that this was someone who's called Gertrude Moakley, and she was actually the one who wrote the first like big book about tarot readings in the United States. She was actually the one who made it popular, made it like something that everybody uses right now for the tarot readings and so on, so on, so on. You are more than welcome to read about her more. I'm gonna usually put in the comment below, in the pinned comment, I'm gonna put all the materials that I used for this video, so read more about it because it's very interesting. Now, the biggest question here, if it's just a nod, a reference, or the creators really mean that Gertrude Moakley was the same friend that Tilly is talking about, and they were both in the hospice or whatever it is, where she actually taught her how to read the tarot cards. Now I think this is very, very interesting. And also, you tarot card enthusiasts, you who know way better than I do, I just starting to read about it. I kinda not a big believer, so it's kind of difficult for me to, like, you know, read all this and absorb this information. But if you can, please buy this cover, realize what kind of edition is that, when it was released, and whatever, and so on, so on, so on, and you can share your information with me. I will be a very grateful potato or tomato, whatever you like more. And this moment, it's not some kind of a clue, it's just something that I enjoy as a guy, because it took me like, I think 4 years of relationship to understand it, and I still do this sometimes, because in this conversation between Mariel and Fatima, and Mariel is saying like, we really need Christie and I miss Christie, and Fatima is saying like, everything's gonna be okay, she has a talisman, there's a lot of people, she's gonna be fine, she's gonna come back tomorrow. So this is a man's answer, this is a solve your problem answer, but Mariel is not looking for that. Mariel is looking for sympathy, for somebody to validate her feelings, somebody who would tell her like, it's okay to be worried. It's obviously very okay to be worried when somebody you love in this kind of position, and this is what Fatima does. And as guys, take notice, you don't always have to solve their problems, sometimes you just have to listen until you understand. That's all. And girls, please understand, when you come to us and you tell us that there's something bothering you, something that doesn't make you feel comfortable, all of our instincts, everything in our body wants to jump and solve this problem from you and find some solution. But luckily Fatima is a girl, so she knows exactly what to say here. Now, when you zoom into this bread, whatever it is, thingy where you hold the bread, infinity symbol, I'm just seeing it everywhere already. I can walk in the streets and I'm being like, oh, infinity symbol. It's come on, crazy person already. And also an interesting moment, when Mariel gives Fatima some water, like rewatch this moment if you don't believe me, she's like, ew. She has a little bit of a, ew, water, ew. I mean, we know that she cannot eat, but we still haven't seen her drinking something like, or experiencing, you know, the same like deterrent from water. She's basically doesn't really want to drink water, because, you know, like, you have to eat rotten food and water. Not a very popular diet, but if you want to lose some weight and maybe some life, start eating rotten food with some water. And she even, like, when she takes a sip, it's barely a sip, she's like, she almost like spitting it out, so no water. And I think this is very interesting, because in the end of this episode we're gonna discover some new liquid that Fatima is going to enjoy. Anyway, the ambulance during the night, already driving through the forest, and some of the moments here were not really understandable for me. I don't know what the hell is happening with Tabitha, but maybe you have an idea. So first of all, GPS. GPS is not working, obviously the cell phones are not working, so does it say there are no satellites here? So if there are no satellites, either it's a pocket universe, or it's a different time. Maybe they will like travel to the past. Maybe this place is locked, but it's like beyond time or whatever. But if there are no satellites, it means there is a different sky. And if there is a different sky, it's not the same world. So no phones, no GPS. What is that? Now, if you remember the first episode, season 1, when Matthew's family is driving the first time they're driving, we can see like some kind of an electricity box, we can see some electricity lines, and the second time they're driving, same place, railroad is still there, but nothing, no electricity, nothing, completely nothing. So does it really mean that they're actually traveling in time? But it doesn't feel just like the past, it feels like some place that doesn't follow the same physical rules. It feels like the place, just basically like Henry said, like Miranda used to say, it's everywhere but nowhere at the same time. So, pocket universe, the same thing that, what's his name, Dale used to talk about in season 1, you know, the Colony House Massacre episode. Maybe it has some relevance. I think it's the most logical one here so far. Anyway, here, why? Like when Tabitha is going completely insane, she's like, no, please don't turn around. You'll be driving away from town. Like, you know, it's not going to do anything. You tried to do it. You remember when Jim, like pressed reverse and he drove on the other direction and he still got to the town? Okay, maybe Tabitha is afraid that if you're not gonna reach the town the first time, you're not gonna reach it at all. And she wants to reach it already because she wants to come back to her family. And she understands, but she understands that this is dangerous already. The place is dangerous, you cannot be outside here, you need to get to the town where people can help you. And she understands already, so this is the same place. This is Fromville, she's locked already. I don't know, this is also bugged me out. Like, why panic? Emotions, this is the only thing that can explain it for me, whatever. If you can take it, go ahead. Anyway, another trailer moment, and Randall is talking about like everybody's afraid to die, but like nobody dies, blah blah blah. And me, Julie, Marielle, whatever. And the interesting part here is he's talking about patterns. He's saying that every night at the same time, the one with the nurse uniform, she comes and he's the first step. And she's standing by the glass and she hums, probably the same lullaby we heard in season 2. And for about 10 minutes. So there is a schedule. And there's also like another one who likes to sit over there by the swing and he like lets his legs dangle, whatever. Very childish, very playful, yeah, whatever. But what is interesting here is we know that Boyd wants to catch one of those monsters. So if they have pattern, and they can break one, but if they have pattern and they're gonna repeat it the next day when there's not gonna be an ambulance, they're not gonna set a trap for anybody, maybe this information is what Boyd is gonna use to actually catch one of those. And if it knows this one comes to the swing every day, so this is where we're gonna put some trap. I hope so, anyway. And another moment that completely broke my mind, and I have no idea how to explain it, because like at this moment, when Randall talks to Boyd and he's saying to him, they probably shouldn't be here, like they have to be here right now. And Boyd is repeating the words right now like they have way more meaning than just Randall put in them. He's like, right now, right now. I mean, what does he mean? Why he was reacting like that? Like, right now, why? It feels like he connected it to something, but to what? Am I the only one who felt that? Please write me in the comments, am I going completely insane? Or other people actually felt like he connected something to something here when he heard those words, the right now words. Anyway, like Ethan here, and Jim is the father of the year, obviously. Ethan's just looking at the window, nobody cares, come on, Grandma Monster, come tell us a story. And yeah, Jim is like coming right away because they see the ambulance. Now look at Jim, look at Ethan. Ethan is standing, Jim is standing, look at them. Do you notice where Jim is standing? Now please explain to me how the father of the year actually made this possible. How did Ethan was able to escape and run away to the night to be eaten by monsters and was saved actually by Boyd? How did you manage, man? Like, use your hands, grab your kid. You have all the tools here. This moment really bugged me here. Anyway, like they're coming back and Ethan is completely ratting Jim off, and this is the face of somebody who should have told Boyd that he hears some voices over the phone, but he's like, come on, Ethan, shut up already, you're ratting me out. Anyway, it's a trap, and this is the second time we already seen the monsters setting up pretty sophisticated trap. They knew that the ambulance is gonna arrive. We know that the voice of Thomas knew. We know that the voices that talked to Sarah knew about 2 cars arriving, but apparently the monsters, and I think they are controlled by somebody, also knew that the ambulance will arrive, so they put one of the monsters laying on the ground, like she's been injured, like she's been hit by something. I thought that, like the ambulance is gonna just, crash into one of them, like usually when you arrive, you see monsters are just walking around the town, but no, they actually set a trap, and this is very interesting. And another interesting thing here is one of the medics, when he's checking her, he's saying she doesn't have a pulse. Now, if you're gonna Google what kind of creatures doesn't have a pulse, they all undead. Spirits, ghosts, whatever they are, like golems, something that was either dead or was created from clay or something like this. But if we're talking about werewolves, Wendigo, Fae, whatever they are, there is some kind of pulse. If you're biological, if you're physical, if you have something in your body, you're gonna have a pulse. And this is what I mean when I'm saying mechanical. I'm not saying they have some kind of mechanical parts inside of them. We obviously had an autopsy already, but it does feel like something that was maybe man-made. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it does feel like it's not supposed to be alive at all, but something controls it and makes it alive. Yeah, so she is giving them some creepy smile, and hats off to the operator for the one who chose this shot. Crazy shot, love it, absolutely love it. You know, the high-buy scene. And she's screaming, and when the cop is starting to shoot at the monster, you can see that something comes out of her when the bullets hit. And it looks like air. It looks like when you breathe during a cold night, you have, the air coming out of you, and it's visible, you can actually see it like steam. This is how it looks like. It's either dust, which I don't think it is, because we didn't see any dust inside of Smiley, or it's just air that comes out of them. So they are completely empty. There is a small amount of bile and a lot of wood and some piranha looking motherfuckers here. Anyway, that's it. We can see the same one here. It's very hard to see, but trust me, I'm an engineer, so there is some air here too when this one gets shot. So Jim here is going to save his wife, and he's saying, I'm gonna save my wife, I'm gonna do whatever I can, and you're not gonna be able to stop me, but first let me put my coat, because it's pretty cold outside and I wanna be warm. And Boyd is being here a better father than Jim is already, I don't know why, but he's like telling Ethan, we need to save your mom, if you're gonna help us, you're not gonna help us. You have to stay inside and you have to listen to your sister. That's it, that was needed to be done, but Jim, you know, Jim is flying. So another interesting thing, Henry wakes up, probably because of this place, and he's like, oh my god, and look at the Mabuse, whatever it is. First I thought it's kind of like a like a pun on abuse, and somebody is being abused here in this place. But like some Google search, some ChatGPT search, couldn't find any company, medical equipment, whatever it is. I couldn't find Mabuse. If you can, please help me out. The only thing I was able to find some kind of a Dr. Mabuse. And if you read the Wikipedia page, it's also kind of similar, maybe you can connect it somehow to what we're seeing. I could also envision could envision the creators taking inspiration from, the movies of old, the books of old from the 1930, 1940, which is probably what happens a lot. Almost every story is being told many, many times, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, the whole hero journey repeats itself many, many times. So they probably can take an inspiration from some Dr. Mabuse, whatever it is. Now, I invite you to read the Wikipedia page. Once again, I'm going to leave it, obviously, in the comments section. So, the emotions, yeah, kissing each other, and time. And this is the first time, sorry for the pun, we have a digital clock in this place. And it kind of bugged me, as usual. Because, like we see here, 9:52. 9:52, this is a morning time, this is night time. So, okay, first of all, maybe it's not a clock, but it is a clock actually. Then the next time we see it already in the next scene, we can see the 53:36, and here it's a little bit blurry, but we know that this is 53:36, so this is 3 also, so it's 1:53:36, so it's 1 p.m. basically, almost 2 p.m. And the next time we see it, it's 5:25 and 5:25:26, 5:25:27. So it is the clock, it is counting time. The only explanation that comes to my mind is basically, obviously, they are not filming it chronologically. There's a lot of scenes, a lot of cuts, and a lot of reshoots and whatever. So they were probably filming the 20 minutes that we're seeing in this episode for a couple of hours. And they didn't even bother to do something with the watch. Or they wanted to show us the times move forward here faster, which is not. So basically what I'm saying, this is breaking my heart, because I think this is a nail in a coffin that says basically that all my theories about the clocks here, this is basically some kind of mistake. Nobody from the creators actually give a fuck what the shows, what the clocks are really showing us. They're just putting it on the background, and it just shows whatever it shows, and they don't count on us noticing it. So yeah, I spend a lot of time doing that. Yay! So let's rewind back a little bit. Yeah, Randall and Boyd, they're coming, they're seeing that Tabitha, she's been handcuffed, and Randall is going to the bus to take some toolkit in order to save her. And meanwhile, in the colony house, there's runner up the hill, and you know, the cop lady, she's shooting the bride, she's shooting the librarian guy. This one is coming, and she's like, blah, blah, whatever. And this moment, Nikki here, come on. I mean, come on, girl. This is not the moment when you go like this. People are shooting outside. Hide. Go, you know, under the sofa or something like this. Don't go like, eh. So yeah, like obviously she's shot. Mariel is there for the rescue. She will try to save. Now, another interesting moment here, and once again here I'm just picking already on the creators, but when you look at this moment, it's 21 and 40 seconds, 21 minutes and 40 seconds. And look at this one and tell me if it takes 15 seconds to get from here to kill the cop ladies, because the next time we're seeing already Clara and Acosta actually arriving, it's 15 seconds later. So yeah, this is probably, you know, movie magic or whatever, but it's kind of bugging me, because you know, when you watch TV shows like I do, when I'm trying to pick every little detail, unfortunately you also pick up the details that were not done properly, and it kind of bothers. Anyway, we can see the Donna here, she's like telling to the cop lady, get back, stand there, don't interrupt. She's talking about misfire, and as you can notice already, English is not my main language, obviously it's my third language, but you know, I always thought misfire is when you like shoot a gun, but you know, something is not working and it doesn't really shoot. But okay, so maybe misfire is also when you try to shoot something and you miss, and then it's like misfire, your fire missed something. Whatever, anyway, Randall is taking the toolkit and he can hear already the cicadas, they're buzzing, and when he comes, it's a trap. And another interesting thing, he tries to use it like, you know, some kind of a force object, like get the back. And this one is like, oh sweetie, it doesn't work that way. This is insane to me, because like, where are the rules? Where are they written? And look at the milkman. Now, you remember this moment, this is episode 1, season 3, when he killed the cow, he put some blood all over his shirt, and we can see that the blood is still there. And I was actually talking to you about this in my review. If you haven't watched it, please do it right now. Not right now, after you finish this video. Okay, don't say stupid things, Igor. And this is the first time we can actually see that their clothes are not going through some magical laundry. Because usually they can kill people, they can be covered in blood, but the next day they are fresh and minty after some laundry day. And this one is still have the same spot. So does it really mean anything? After the clocks, I have no idea. Maybe once again I'm putting too much trust and too much belief in the creators that every detail has a meaning. But you know, like, if it is, it means that human blood can be cleaned. Just like when Jasmine killed the Mustache Mario Virgin guy, like she was covered in his blood and 5 minutes later she's completely clean, without even coming to the home base in the caves. She was completely clean, but when it's animal blood, it stays. I don't know how to explain this, but once again, I notice, I share. And we're moving forward, and you know, if you ever seen a goal, this is one. Like, this was like, goal! Come on! This was a good moment. He's throwing the bag, but it's a trap, the cicadas are coming, and he is captured by them. And another moment that kind of broke my mind, but I can actually explain it, is basically when this lunch lady, she comes and she's giving the keys to Boyd. And in this moment she says like, you take the keys and we take Randall. And it feels completely unnecessary. You already have Randall. Like, if Boyd is gonna leave or try to help him, it's not gonna change anything. Boyd himself in a situation where there's no escape. Come on, there's an ambulance behind you, you don't have the keys, you cannot go right, you cannot go left, you cannot go forward, you're gonna be destroyed by the monster. So what else can you do here? So she's basically giving him a no choice situation. So why is it? Because once again she wants to show him that he has to make those choices. He's gonna have to sacrifice some of the people. This is why. But Randall is like probably gonna hold a grudge, but it's not gonna be anything new. He's already holding a grudge against everybody. So he's like, boy, don't you leave me, you piece of shit. I don't think it's gonna be like a big conflict there. I think they're gonna talk out. Boyd is gonna be like, look, listen, you know, I couldn't do anything. I wasn't able to help you. I wasn't able to save you. I had a choice, die or save Tabitha and Jim. So I did my choice. You have a problem with that? Whatever. This is your problem. And we can see Clara as usual. She's here, she's there, she's every fucking where. And meanwhile, Acosta here, she's talking to Donna. She's telling her there's more people. And everybody's in shock and awe when Tabitha is arriving. Everybody's like, how are you even close to be alive? And this moment kind of nice. If you remember, this is probably the same place where Randall was laying on the couch and Donna got angry and took an axe and made a hole inside of it. So people like try to make it a little more symmetric, which is nice. And I told you I'm seeing infinity symbols everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Here they are again. Anyway, we can see that also Tabitha is not holding back at all. Like everybody was given very hard time to the cop. And yeah, she felt a little bit annoying, but like, what do you expect her to do? I fucking told you, like, first of all, yeah, you did. Like, you remember your conversation with Donna? And this was after you have seen the monsters. You remember how you reacted? Your first reaction was, this is insane. I don't believe you. You are crazy. And you expect somebody who never even seen Fromville, never seen one single monster, nothing even close to being supernatural, to be just like, oh yeah, sure, I'm gonna believe you. Everybody's gonna die. Those are monsters, of course I'm gonna believe you. And yeah, we have Tilly here doing everything she can, so we'll be even more suspicious of her. She's like talking about that poor girl. And even Elgin is like, you're obviously talking about Nikki, right? She's the one suffering there and bleeding, but she's gonna be okay. And Tilly's like, no, what the hell is Nikki? I'm talking, of course, about Fatima. The crow, maybe it was a sign. I don't know, but I'm like, I have this feeling, I know most of you also, like there is something wrong with Tilly, and I hope we're gonna discover this already this season. So he sees the kimono girl, this is not a dream, he's actually even like asking, am I awake? The whole line between reality and dream is being very blurry for him already, and he follows her. And by the way, a very nice touch here, they made the TV like they drew with the chalk on it, some kind of a news host, and not a good news for, you know, stock market, wherever everything is falling down. Just a small moment, Easter egg here for you. And she's like, help me, please, help, oh help me, oh help me. So yeah, let's think about it. Let's put our thinking caps, or more likely like, you know, like our tinfoil hats. Why did she take him there? She wanted to be alone with him, or she wanted him to be in this corridor? If she wants to be alone with him, this is not something that's probably difficult to reach, even though they live in the colony house. Just wait for him to go to the toilet or to the shower again. Or she actually experienced something when she was alive, if it's a ghost, if it's a ghost of somebody who used to be alive and not just a mystical creature that just appeared here in this place. Maybe something very important happened in this place, in this specific corridor, and this is why she took Elgin there, because this is where she wanted to recreate how she asked for help or something like this. Once again, something to think about. Anyway, she's like, rule, disappeared. And there's a talk between Julie and Ethan, no clues, nothing very important, just a mature conversation between an older sister and a brother. He is very maturing right now, he's talking a lot about death, he's trying to understand because he lost his mother. He obviously tries to understand it. This is a very, I think, normal behavior for a kid. I don't know, I don't have one of my own yet, but it does feel normal for somebody at this age that just discovers that death just touched his family, even though it's not correct, to basically being curious about everything. But Julie explains to him that she mostly doesn't really remember what happened to her. She just remembers being so scared like she has never been in her life. And yeah, they're talking about like maybe staying together because maybe Jim and Tabitha is not gonna come back, and then it's just them. So yeah, again, you can stretch yourself as much as you can and maybe consider that this is something that Thomas was talking about, that they are not their kids anymore, like they already consider themselves being independent, separate beings, like human beings. Like this is something that happens usually way later in life when you want to like move out from your parents. Hopefully the earlier the better. But maybe this was something here, but once again, I don't know. just thinking here with you. So Boyd tells Donna that he has to leave Randall alone, he wasn't able to save him. And look at her bracelet. It's obviously not the same bracelet, or maybe it is, but it looks a lot like the same bracelet that fell from the bag that Victor was checking with Sarah. Maybe it's related, maybe it's not, probably not, but once again I notice I share. And there's another conversation. Tabitha is telling Jim that she actually saw Victor's father, and he's Victor's father, and the reason for her to actually being in this place to understand. This is why the boy in white sent her there, and she starts to cry because she understands that she wasn't able to achieve this mission. She didn't do what needed to be done. And also, she completely abandoned the whole theory like Henry is an inside man and it's all a show for her. So she kind of believes right now that it was really a reality. Once again, sorry for the pun. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Nikki starts to bleed from the inside. She has an internal bleeding. If you have the same theory of like you cannot bring new people without killing some old, so maybe it works. Acosta for Nikki, but Henry, who is gonna die for Henry. So Henry will have a place in this place. What the hell is wrong with me today? I have no idea. Maybe it was supposed to be Randall, but Randall is gonna survive, so I don't know, interesting to think about. Another moment, like I can't understand why Boyd is losing his mind. He's obviously angry at himself because he abandoned Randall. He wanted to save everyone, and like Acosta is just there to be a punchbag for him. He's like, what's with you, with cops? You're afraid and you're shooting everybody. I mean, you served in the military, right? What did you do there? Did you like fight, or did you like, you know, like, gave flowers to people? And like, if you're gonna get to this place and you have a gun, you're gonna shoot everybody. By the way, your wife did. Sorry, but you know, like at this moment, Boyd was completely not in the right, even though it can be explainable that he's not really angry at the cop, he's more angry at himself. But obviously, like everybody, I would obviously shoot everybody I could in this place if I, like the first time I arrived to Fromville and I have some monsters killing everybody and I have a gun. And an interesting moment, and I thought this moment could be way more powerful, like the only person that Donna can show her real feelings in front of, this is Boyd, like they're both the leaders of this place, so she can be weak in front of him, she cannot be weak in front of anybody else, but it still felt like there was not enough preparation for that, like there was not enough build-up for this moment, and this moment could be way more powerful. But still, it was a very emotional moment. Kudos to anyone who thought about it. Yeah, you know, like Donna is being so fucking scared and she's talking to Boyd about it. Very emotional. But you know, we're going to my favorite song, Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy, I got love in my tummy, because I'm gonna eat some people today. So Fatima is checking Nikki and she's like, oh my god, so tasty, this blood is amazing. By the way, in Pica, there is actually craving for blood. But when you combine rotten food and blood, there's probably not a normal baby growing inside of you right now. Something is wrong with it. Obviously, they're not showing to us that Fatima is turning into a monster, because this is not connected. It's connected to the child. She became pregnant and this is when it started. It's not like she's turning into a monster. There is some kind of a monster being inside of her. I don't know. Anyway, like she's like, yummy, yummy, yummy. And then Boyd and Donna, they're like drinking some alcohol because, you know, like it's tough to be at the top. That's a very bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. And they can see that the monster left them a surprise, Randall on the ambulance, but Randall is alive and he has a big, you know, wound on his cheek. So we're gonna see him with some, you know, patches on his cheek. And by the way, if you remember this image from Miranda's storage room, we already saw some kind of dude with some patches on his cheek. Smaller, not looking like Randall at all, having a yellow tongue and green teeth, but also have some kind of a patch on his cheek. Is it connected? Maybe it is. Ooh, I told you this is probably the longest video I ever did. Maybe my analysis of season finale of season 2 was longer, I don't know, but it's gonna be a lot of work, and this is why, once again, I'm gonna thank everyone who supports me on Patreon, here on YouTube. If you're just watching until the end, you are supporting me already. This is a lot that you do for me, and I thank you so much. But if you wanna like, subscribe, write some interesting comment, my appreciation is beyond its limit. Thank you so much, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!